This year is Bloxburg's 10th anniversary, and Bloxburg styles have changed a lot since 2016. So in today's video, I'll be building a Bloxburg house in the style of the 2016 to 2017 era of building. Hey glossettes, welcome back. How are you guys doing today? Now today, I'm feeling incredibly nostalgic, as is half the internet, because all I'm getting on my TikTok is those 2016 compilations for like the LA beaches and the EOS lip balms and Adidas Superstar shoes and whatever else. So I thought it would only be fitting to do this trend, but inside of Bloxburg, and actually build a house in the style of like the old kind of Bloxburg building aesthetic. Long before we had like the blush preppy homes and like the realistic houses, we had the old aesthetic, which was basically black and white Tumblr modern homes. And before we get into what that actually means, I do actually have a nostalgic outfit here, so I kind of fit the part. I'm going back to my roots with my I'm a Spy cap and my salad hat, and I'm channeling my inner 2016. This is actually an outfit I used to wear, by the way. I don't know where the pink is gone, but it was the vibe at the time, okay?
Coachella 2016. This was the vibe at the time, okay? You need to understand.
However, if you weren't around in the early Bloxburg era, I'm gonna show you exactly what the builds used to look like. Starting with Twitter, I've been looking through like the very old kind of Bloxburg Twitter posts, and this is a good kind of look at what the style was like in 2016 to 2017. So here we have a very old Adria post, and you can just see exactly how far we've come with building. So everything was very black and white and gray. This was kind of like the aesthetic. Everything was very modern based back then, and obviously, oh my god, the Pinterest aesthetic decals. We're gonna be seeing a lot of these. Obviously, we had a very limited amount of furniture too, so everything was just kind of the same vibe. We have a D-Field Mark tour here. If you don't know who D-Field Mark is, he would tour Bloxburg builds. He was so incredible. Honestly, I used to love his videos. This one here is a very good example. Now, this stone texture that you can see on the front of this house used to be so popular. We're going to be using this today, but once again, everything was very black and white, okay? Very modern. Oh my god, this is so nostalgic. The old UI at the bottom. Wait, this is crazy. So just having a look at the vibes here, yeah, very kind of like, once again, the black everywhere, the marble, the stone, all the palm trees. This is the vibe we're going for. Oh my god, this sofa was so popular, and having like the fireplaces in the wall and stuff. I honestly feel like this is, oh my gosh, whoever this is my spirit animal, but this is going to be very interesting to do. There's so many old builds you can find on Twitter. Also as well, if I go onto Google, this is a great example from my icon, Kalito. Oh my gosh, I used to love her videos. So you can find a lot of examples online on how builds used to look like, and I'm also going to try and only use old items. So I want to make this as authentic as possible. I don't know how this is going to go, but what I'm going to do is hop into build mode. Talking about decals, I also have my very old ones, so you can see like, oh my god, we had like All I Want in Life is Pizza and Wi-Fi, the glitter aesthetic, like the mandalas. This is, I think I'm going to use a lot of these. Oh my gosh, look at my old screenshots. That was my first ever online friend, Jazzy R. But anyways, what we're going to do is, my goal is to basically make a modern house with the black and white kind of modern Tumblr girl aesthetic theme. We're going to use a bunch of those old Tumblr girl pictures, and we're just going to see how this goes. I'm kind of in my head thinking about one of my old builds I had, and I think one tricky thing for the floor plan as well is I kind of want to do it so it's authentic to kind of how I used to do floor plans, which means doing them even worse than I do now. I'm going to incorporate like the big blocky bits. Obviously recently I did a build where I basically redid my old first ever video build, and we had a lot of like the blocky kind of walls that everyone used to use. We can have like a garage here, but yeah, I'm basically going to go and do a simple floor plan so we can actually start decorating this thing. So the floor plan actually took me like 3 attempts. I was taking inspiration from one of my very old build floor plans, because back then I used to have loving like a big kitchen counter and everything, but I felt like I was making the house far too large for this. So I ended up redoing it and making a smaller version, which actually came out pretty cute. It's not the best floor plan, but that was kind of the point. Like, I wanted it to kind of suck. I wanted it to look bad, so it looked like how my build used to look like. So I think I captured that pretty perfectly. The layout is all complete, and I also added some color and textures over here. So we're basically gonna go for, like I've said a million times, the black and white kind of style with a bit of brown in there as well. This was linen before we used linen, okay? And these are also the textures that were definitely most popular, at least for me back then. And now we are gonna go and try and decorate this thing, and I'm kind of nervous, so I think we're just gonna quickly start off with doors and windows. Now, like I've said, this is basically 2016 to 2017/2018, okay? We can't really do a strictly 2016 kind of like trend house, because back then the game had only been out for like 2 months. So this is just kind of like the general time period, but but back then these rounded doors were so popular. So these are definitely what we're gonna use for most of this. So we're gonna have the glass ones there, and then inside I'm gonna add these in some places as well, especially for upstairs. So let me just add these in all of the rooms. I know they're kind of see-through. Let me maybe not do these for the bathroom, but these were definitely the most popular door at the time. And then in terms of windows, I remember, where is it? These modern ones releasing in I think 2018. So we are going to use these for most of the modern windows because these are what I can remember the most. And these factory ones as well. I used to use these quite a lot. I can't remember what we used before this, but we're just going to use these for the sake of this video. So I'm going to add modern windows basically everywhere. We're going to add the matching double door, and I'm just going to basically fill this with the glass everywhere. This is also the living room, and I'm planning on having the custom fires people used to make in there too. Is this overkill? Is this too much glass? Probably. I am going to be honest though, these windows are kind of giving prison bars. I'm getting flashbacks. One building trend that was also incredibly popular, and I feel like the community has never grown out of it, is adding pillars on the side of everything. Every single build just had pillars kind of put onto it, and I feel like it's definitely something that most people do out of habit today. So we're also going to be adding some black pillars everywhere in a second. I'm just trying to get these windows finished. I've kind of got like a good mix. There's one house that I built that has always stuck out to me, and it was this huge modern house I had, I think in 2018, which was like so many floors tall, and I had like an indoor pool and like a football court and everything, and the hallway was just atrocious. It looked like, you know that murder mystery map where it's like that hotel map and the middle of it is just like a balcony all the way down, and people like use it to kind of camp and just jump down when the murderer is coming for them. Do you get which one I'm talking about? That's kind of the vibe that this house was giving. The hallway in the middle was just this huge empty space with all the floors with like stairs leading up to it. It was crazy, but it was a pretty cool house. Okay, what I'm gonna do for the kitchen is do some tiles out of the floor thing. I feel like I'm gonna get quite frustrated doing this build because obviously I can't use basic shapes, but I feel like it's gonna be quite fun and refreshing to not have to make kind of like custom things. A lot of people talk about how they think the downfall of Bloxburg building, okay, that's kind of dramatic, but they think it's been worse since basic shapes because of all the pressure on like having your build be like hyper realistic and stuff. And guys, there is so many styles of Bloxburg building. Like, you don't have to be hyper realistic, you can be whatever you want. I feel like there needs to be less pressure on people. Like, there is no standard to Bloxburg building. I feel like a lot of people feel like there is though. Okay, this is kind of how the floors are looking. What we're gonna do now is start adding the color on the outside. I really want to move on to the inside so I can start doing like the Tumblr girl decals and stuff. But for the kind of like pillars I have, like these big chunks of wall, obviously we'd usually do them stone, and I'm torn between these two stone textures. So we have these two, and originally I would have used this one for all of my like build exterior stone walls, but this one was also very popular. And I'm gonna be real, I cannot stand looking at this texture. It genuinely makes me angry. I hate this texture so much. I don't want to use it. I genuinely don't want to use it. So what I'm gonna do is just use the other one. I don't know why I hate it so much. And I think we're gonna go for a dark stone gray. Another thing that I can't use, because obviously this is meant to be, I guess, a bit factually accurate to the building at the time, is I can't use the color wheel. So I'm gonna have to use the pre-made colors, which I don't do anymore. So we'll see how much this annoys me. I've also just remembered we obviously used to have like the very old color wheel thing, which was so bad. Honestly, the game has changed so much, it's actually crazy. Okay, what color do I do the actual house? I want all the doors and stuff to be black so it kind of stands out, but I'm not too sure what color to put for kind of like the rest. We could do mid-gray. I think I'm gonna do a mixture of mid-gray and then some white, or maybe just mid-gray actually. Okay, wait, this is slowly feeling nostalgic already. What we could do is we could have this stone texture. Okay, no, I don't even want it up here. I was gonna say I could put it up here just so it's somewhere, but anything is too much. Okay, we're gonna do this for the roof. So we're gonna have a white ceiling, but the roof is gonna have the black outline. Oh my gosh, building was so quick back then. I just have to throw on some textures and make everything black and white, and we're pretty much sorted. Another touch I want to add quickly is the pillars. So I used to just whack these absolutely everywhere. Like on any corner that was exposed, I would just add a pillar. I feel like these aren't gonna look very nice from the inside, but we'll see. And then what I'm gonna do quickly is just basically do the kind of like garden area, like the paths and everything, and then we're pretty much done for the outside and we can move on to the inside. Before we continue on with this video, I have a little announcement. I finally have new merch, just a small one of course, but I've just dropped a bunch of glossy themed keyrings, phone pop sockets, a poster, stickers, a calendar, even a giant pink British flag with my face on in a tapestry for your wall of course, which you can buy over at my new store at acgoods.com/store/glossbossboutique. It's kind of a mouthful, I'll put it in the description and on the pinned comment, but I'm so happy with this one guys. I think the calendar may be my favorite because I've wanted one of these for so long. It looks adorable on my desk. And then we also, of course, have 5 different brand new pop sockets because we all know I love a pop socket. I, of course, have the Kiss one on right now. It's my favorite one. And my other favorite thing is, of course, the stickers. I have my YouTube notebook covered in stickers right now. It looks so cute. I decorated this the other day. It's actually adorable. And very soon I will be opening my poster and putting it on the back. Oh my god, hang on the back wall of there somewhere. I love it. She is just so cute. But all of the merch items were designed and made by me. I drew everything except my characters. Those were drawn by my artist iFairy2. But like all the stickers, for example, I designed all of this, guys, except these two. All of this is my art. We even have my cats. My cats have their very own stickers. So I hope you guys love the merch. Once again, the link will be down below, and I will also be releasing more merch as the year goes on, especially for like Halloween, Christmas, maybe Valentine's Day if I can do it within the next week. So feedback is of course welcome, but make sure you go and check that out, and I will let you guys return to the video. Also, my studio is a work in progress, okay? Please go check out the merch. I love you all. Back to the video. Enjoy, okay? I think the outside, the exterior of the house is pretty much done, and oh my goodness, is this nostalgic? Like, hello? This is looking pretty accurate, but I also have now kind of like gathered a bunch of old items that were used in houses at the time so we can furnish the inside, and I don't actually use things from like last year's updates. But we are going to get started with the interior, and I do have to say I'm in the middle of a storm, so if you hear background noise, it's the wind banging against my office, okay? It's been so noisy, it's driving me crazy. But if we go inside, we have our lovely, oh my god, the windows glitching is driving me insane. We have our lovely house interior, and the floor is grey because that's all I used to use. But what we're gonna do is start furnishing this thing. I think we're gonna start with the kitchen, but I'm gonna have to check when the cabinets came out because I'm pretty sure all the kitchen cabinet updates came out in like 2019, 2020. I've got this little pantry area where we're gonna have like the fridge and stuff, but honestly, I remember breaking into people's mansions and them having this specific shaped pantry with like the slanted wall, and I thought they were so rich in Bloxburg, so I've decided we're gonna add that into this as well. The glass table was my go-to at the time. I thought this was really fancy, so this is gonna be kind of like here. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna take us that long to furnish this because of the severe lack of items, but it's really fun to not have to really worry about how it's looking. I love it. I'm having a great time. This feels so weird. But anyways, whilst I build, I kind of wanted to yap about like old kind of Bloxburg YouTubers. So I started playing Bloxburg in late 2016, so the same year it came out, but I didn't have it on my own account because my mum wouldn't let me get Robux. So I would play it on like my friend's account at school and stuff because for some reason our school let us play Roblox on like iPads, and that's kind of like where I played Roblox for the first time. I was actually at school, but once it was 2017, I got Robux and I started playing the game like on my account, and I used to be obsessed with like old Bloxburg YouTubers. I used to follow them around like crazy. So my favorite of all time was definitely Merly Twirly. I've been in a couple of her videos. I used to follow her around. I'm actually friends with her nowadays. Like I have her on Discord and stuff, which is crazy, and she actually remembered me as Painty because I bumped into her on something a few years ago. I'm not quite sure. I think it was in like a Discord server or something, so I was talking to her, but she remembered me, which is crazy. Then obviously Dfield Mark, who we talked about earlier, he was such a classic Bloxburg builder. I was in one of his videos before with my old ugly avatar. We had Poke. Now I didn't actually watch Poke, but I know he was like insanely popular in Bloxburg. I didn't watch him, but I was accidentally in one of his videos once because he randomly joined my Bloxburg server and was like filming a video. So because obviously I just saw like a famous YouTuber in my game, I immediately pretended I was a fan, okay? I wanted to be in that video so bad, and I was, and he called me a fanboy because my name was Painty Ninja, which I was incredibly upset about. But I'm pretty sure he had like such a crazy impact on Bloxburg. We also had like the OG speed builders like Azria and Kalito. I love Kalito. I'm trying to think of like other popular ones at the time, but Merly Twirly, Dfield Mark were definitely my favorites. Obviously Froggy Hops as well, who's now the studio manager, but he did YouTube videos, and I remember there was this time where I joined his game, or I think Merly Twirly's game. I think they were in the same server. Oh, by the way, I'm being authentic with the white lighting, so this is gonna be blinding, but it's fine. But anyways, I was in his Bloxburg server one day, and I remember at this time he was already like a Bloxburg developer, so he had access to stuff that wasn't in the regular game, and he'd made this basement pit, and I think this is before the basement game pass even released. He'd made this pit, and I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna use my artistic skills so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. He made this pit, and then in the middle there was his floating bit with money on it, and he was making us try and jump to the money, which was obviously impossible. So everyone was just falling into the pit, including me. I don't know why I was stupid enough to fall for that. Oh yeah, this room's an office, by the way. I'm kind of just filling in furniture, but yeah, I remember that vividly. I met Nezzy Plays. She was popular. I was just like such a Bloxburg YouTuber stan. I probably weirded some of them out because I was just such a big fan. I remember Kalito did a meet and greet once, and it was in a game which had like an invisible wall around the stage, and I found a way to glitch through and grab a screenshot with her whilst they were in the middle of like this stage performance thingy. I don't even know, but I would love to know like if you guys were around kind of like for that period of time in the community, which YouTubers did you watch? I feel like a lot of people watched similar ones to me. Hang on, I need to move this fireplace. How am I gonna put a TV here? I've added kind of bits of furniture in every room roughly, but what I think we're gonna do now is focus on the kitchen and get this done first. What I'm gonna do is I'm skipping through a D-Field Mark like a mansion tour. Oh my god, wait, you can kind of tell this looks a lot like ours, just not this big obviously, but I'm trying to find the kitchen for like inspiration. Oh my god, they've used the same chairs as us. Oh my god, the aquarium trend. Everyone used to make aquariums, but as you can see here, yeah, we didn't have any like wall cabinets at the time. This was kind of it for the kitchen. This was very simple back in the day. So what I think I'm gonna do is change the cabinets to something with a bit more detail. I don't think, did we not have the cabinets in that? Oh no, we do. This counter was kind of like the most detail we had for a while, so I'm gonna take this and then our counter style, or maybe black. I feel like black would kind of fit nicer like this. Here we go, and then let me extend it a little bit. This is a very 2017 counter here. Here we go, and then I want to add the little bar stools, even though it's kind of just like a solid counter so it doesn't work, but I'm gonna add some of these here, and you know what, maybe some more here as well. And then I also placed down some appliances, so I'm gonna add these. I remember thinking that people who had like the little kind of like counters with the seats on were so rich in the game, as well as these couches, you know, these ones that are really popular. I remember saving up in Bloxburg on like level 2 of my little pizza delivery job to try and get these chairs. Crazy times. Look at me now, look at my bank account. We're gonna add some minimal decoration of shelves, and then I think on this side I'm gonna add some details with like pillars, like adding a pillar here and then another one, so the shelves kind of have something to be against. See, that's cute. And then we can just kind of add a bunch of decoration. So before I moved on to the rest of the interior, Bramp actually joined me and showed me one of his houses from 2016. So it was very cool to see like a real 2016 house. Honestly, the vibes were so there. I also found a burger that's probably like 10 years old now, and I just had a great time kind of like exploring all of the rooms. It was so cool to see, especially the one that just had loads of pictures of Patrick for some reason. But after that I moved on to actually finishing the rest of the first floor, mainly the living room. And what I actually did in here was I added the like window fireplaces we used to have, so I just added 2 little fires and then added a window, and then just kind of finished off the rest of the living room. Another kind of like old build hack I did was the carpets. So what we used to do was we placed on a carpet in the same spot, just rotated each time and have like a really cool shape, so I did one of those. I added all the decals around and stuff, and I also did the little office room as well, which looked really cute. Then for the hallway, what I really wanted to do was have a trophy display case, because everyone used to have these like right as you walked in their house. So what I ended up doing for this was putting shelves on the wall and then just putting trophies in there and adding a window, and that was pretty much it. Okay, we're moving on to the upstairs, the kind of final rooms in the house, but it's raining incredibly loudly. Can you guys hear this? I don't know if it's picking up on the mic or not, but it's really loud, so I'm gonna yap a little bit and then probably time-lapse the rest of this and talk over it later. But basically, the rooms I have, if I look back on this footage and it's like really loud, I'm gonna be really upset. The rooms I have are, this is gonna be like a kid's room, this is gonna be like a home cinema, because I feel like every house back then had a movie room in it. Then we have the main bedroom, the master bedroom, even though it's like the smallest, with an ensuite bathroom. Then we have a baby room, and I'll tell you why I specifically wanted to have one of these in a second. And then we have a bathroom, so this is kind of like the layout. If we go back to the baby room, the reason I wanted to make one of these is because back in the early days of Bloxburg, we didn't have like a baby crib or anything for ages. So what we used to do is, the hack that I'm gonna do today is basically add a bed. This is one of the methods. There was multiple build hacks for making a baby's crib, but we basically used to just add a bed and put fences around it for like the baby crib. I think there was like a more detailed way where you kind of like added a flat roof to kind of make the bottom more of a base like this. And then maybe if we add, I don't think there was a sleeping bag back then, was there? I can't remember when this came out, but I swear people used to add the sleeping bag in here or just the bed. But this was basically the way we would make baby cribs because we didn't have any. But what I'm gonna do before I decorate all the bedrooms, oh yeah, the smoke from the fireplace in the living room is like coming through the roof, but I really want to quickly do the cinema. I think we're gonna use this projector. I can't remember if we had had this back then either. I'm pretty sure we did have this, but I think it was revamped pretty recently. But we're gonna do this, and then for all the seats, because we didn't have cinema seats or anything, we're just gonna use loads of the beanbag. This little round chair here, this is kind of how I remember the theaters looking back then. Here we go. This is our home cinema, and then we can also add like a kitchen at the back for like popcorn and stuff. Genuinely, this is pretty much it. This is as far as the decorations would go. I'll add some stuff to the counters a bit later, but that's kind of it for that. And then I have the 3 bedrooms in the bathroom. So what I'm gonna do is very quickly furnish these, and then that's pretty much it. Like, this really isn't a hard start to build in. We have the garden to do, so yeah, I'm gonna get this floor all done, and then afterwards we will do the garden and add all the decals, and then we can do a little tour. I haven't actually walked around it yet, but yeah, let me go speed this up a little bit. Okay, genuinely guys, I feel like I'm losing my voice a little bit, so if I sound a bit weird in this clip, that's why. But the first thing I did was the bathroom, and I added like counters for the sink area and stuff, and just some random decorations. It was kind of a boring room to do, but then I moved on to the bedrooms, and the main color I kind of used was that more kind of like brown color, because I hadn't used a lot of it downstairs. And I also added a mini fireplace inside the wall in the bedroom too, as well as some wardrobes and drawers and stuff, and that kind of rug hack from the living room, and some more decals and things like that. And then I moved on to the kids bedroom, and this one I actually added some more color in. So we had like a pink side and a blue side, and I added like different lamps, and then a rug, and then a bunch of old toys. Of course, we had to have the banana one in there because it wasn't a old Bloxburg house without one, but I added a bunch of stuff in there too. Then finally I did the baby's room, and if you're wondering why this footage is cropped differently, it's because this is on my laptop, which is a slightly different size, but I was filming this in bed because it was freezing cold and I didn't want to sit in my office, but I did that as well. And then the ensuite bathroom, and that was kind of it. It was just kind of like a lot of the same thing. It's really hard to know what to put in when I'm not allowed to use like a bunch of detail, but that was it for the second floor. Okay, the upstairs is done, and what we're actually gonna do now is go inside and do all the decals. Also, it's still raining, so if you can hear noise, it's because it's been storming all day. I have not had a break from this, but I want to go and find the most 2016-2017 decals I can find for this. I actually have a ton of these in my inventory from years ago that I saved for Bloxburg builds, so I have like every color of the rainbow. We have black here. Okay, we need to use some of these Adidas aesthetic ones. I'm gonna go through and just pick ones. There's like yellow, there's pink. Like, I saved so many to make my builds as aesthetic as possible. Oh my god, all the quotes and everything. We need some of these. What else do we have? We have a peach aesthetic. We have peach colored everything. There's black and gold. I never even used half of these. So yeah, we have a ton of these. Oh my gosh, that was the plant one in the build we saw earlier. I'm gonna steal some plant ones here. And then also, if we go into the Bloxburg like search thing, we can just put in Tumblr girl, and it will bring up, here we go, the classic pictures. These were in everyone's houses, so most of it is gonna be these ones. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite one. Okay, this girl here, that was my favorite one. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of these around. Also, I haven't even walked around yet. This is so cute, but I'm just gonna go around and add a ton of decals. We can have a quote on this wall. Oh my gosh, this is actually so crazy. Let's do some more Tumblr girls. Not gonna lie, walking around this and stuff, like, I genuinely want to roleplay. I'm having the urge to roleplay. Here we go. We have a, if this will load, a pink Doritos packet, and I can remember this being one of my favorites too, for whatever reason. Just for the memories, I'm gonna add a screenshot, the picture of me and my first ever online friend on the wall. Oh, on the wall in here as well. Oh my god. Look at the outfit. At least there's some pink on there. I miss you, Jazzy XR, XOXO. Oh my god, XOXO Glossy Girl. All of the decals are done, and obviously I'm gonna tour the whole house in a minute, but the last thing we have to do is the garden, which really shouldn't take that long at all because I used to put in the least amount of effort in my garden builds. So what I used to do is I would always have like a little kind of like outdoor table and barbecue area, but what I would do is grab a pillar and then make this kind of like weird structure above it with fences. So I would use the minus stone wall and just draw like a grid, and then this would be my, I don't know what you call them, you know, the things you have like over garden tables. I feel like this was the most popular method to make them. I would just do this. Hang on, let me make this wood. I'm gonna steal the color from my shelves, but this to me back then was just the peak of garden detail. Okay, let me just re-add my grass quickly. And then obviously, of course, every house had to have a pool. As long as I had a pool, then I was clearly a rich Bloxburg player. And then I used to just have like a big grass area at the back with just trees in it. This was as far as my detail went. So now I can add in all of the cute decorations. And where are they? Oh my gosh, where are the little pool lounges gone? Okay, wait, we have some here, but I used to use the fancier ones. Like, oh, here we go. And then we can also add some decorations in the pool. We can also have a floaty. Then for the outdoor table, I actually used to use the glass one because I thought this kind of looked like a patio table before we had more outdoor furniture. So I'm gonna add this and then also add a a little outdoor barbecue area, just kind of like along this way. Let me grab the barbecue, and then also a fire pit. So I think we're gonna add a little fire pit in this corner and just add some chairs next to it. And then I'm just gonna add some trees and stuff at the back, and then we're pretty much done. I was so bad at gardens. Gardens were definitely my worst kind of like point of a house back in the day. I feel like I still kind of suck at landscaping nowadays, but at least I know how to put some detail into it. It's just kind of I'm lazy. But back then, this was all I was capable of. This is so pathetic. This is literally how I used to do my gardens. Oh wait, I need to color these, and then we're pretty much done. But yeah, I'm gonna go add a few more final details, and then I think we're ready for the final tour of our incredibly nostalgic Bloxburg build. The build is finally done, and I hope you guys enjoyed that very 2017 speed build music, but here we go. We have my 2016-ish Bloxburg modern house build. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a little tour. I've also just realized I didn't add any palm trees, which is something I really wanted to do, but this is how the exterior looks. I think this is pretty spot on to something I would build back in the day. We're gonna have a little tour of the inside. Now, because this is so simple, there's not like a lot of like specific furniture to focus on, but the hallway here, we have our trophy cabinet, we have our living room over here with the really cute little carpet. I had to turn all the fires off because you can see the smoke through the floor, but this is the little living room. We have our Tumblr girl pictures everywhere. I think this is very cozy. And then of course, quickly the back garden, we just have like a pool, which by the way, the floaties are gone again. What is with the pool balls and everything, with them just disappearing in my videos? I'm so confused. But we have like our little outdoor area. I added a sand pit over here because that used to be like the only kind of fun detail I used to add, but this is the back of the house. Let me go back in here. So we have the stairs there, which will go up in a second. Also, I swear I'm losing my voice. What is this? But here we have the big kitchen. So we have the kitchen area, all of our kind of cute little aesthetic shelves. We have the pantry in here, which just has a singular can of beans and like a fridge and everything. I think for 2017 standards, this is a pretty nice kitchen. We have the dining table. I added like a little jukebox thing and some shelves. We have some more aesthetic quotes, and then we have my beloved Doritos picture. We also have this room, which I have actually left empty because this was going to be a laundry room, and then I realized we didn't have washing machines in the game yet. But we do have the garage, which has the most popular car back in the day, which was the Jeep car. Obviously, if you had this, you were just absolutely loaded as a Bloxburg mom. But we have the garage, and then finally down here we have my little office space, which I think is very cozy. I think the rug actually looks pretty cute, and then of course we have my little photo of my old friend up there. But if we go upstairs, we're gonna take a look at the rooms. I really think my voice sounds weird. I can't tell if it's in my head or not, but if we start with, okay, down here literally just has like a couch, but if I turn back around, if we start with the kids room, we have the children's bedroom where I added the two kind of like themed areas. So this first one is very blue, and I added a Team Umizoomi picture on it, which I used to watch this with my brother when we were younger. It's such a good show. If I turn around, we have the pink area, which of course I added Hello Kitty, okay? But this is the little kids room. Fun fact, in 2020 I had this banana as my son, and he was called Melvin, and then I had another banana son, which was an actual banana called Nivlem because it was Melvin backwards. But I gave it to a friend to look after, and I never got it back, and I don't know her anymore. But honestly, I am tempted to track her down to get this banana back off her, my son Nivlem. So if you guys want to see like a long lost family episode, let me know. But if we go into here, we then have the movie theater, which I added like popcorn and stuff to. We just have like our movie screen and the seating area, and then I added some random posters I found on the Roblox catalog. So we have a Minions poster, we have Frozen 2, but it has these random girls' faces on. We have Spirited Away, which is one of my favorite movies, and then we also have Cars 3 because I found that randomly. So this is my movie setup, and then if I go back out, we have the master bedroom over here, which is very aesthetic if I do say so myself. So we have like the bed, kind of like the dressing area, and then it also has a little bathroom in here, which is very similar to the big main bathroom we'll see in a second. Then the last two rooms we have are, first of all, the baby's room. This is very cute, very peaceful. We have this really realistic crib, the rocking chair and everything, and then finally we have the main bathroom. Now for this, I did use a decal of some CDs with some water on them because, okay, wait, seriously, who on earth was pouring water on CDs in a sink? But what I used to do when I built bathrooms is I would always have the pictures water related, so I thought that would kind of fit. But we have the bathroom with these giant windows so people can just, you know, watch you from down here. I didn't think that through either, but this is the bathroom, and that is pretty much it. This is my 2016 to 2018 era house. I'm saying this wide 2-year span because I know you guys are gonna be like, actually Glossie, that table was added in January of 2018. How could you? But that is pretty much it. That is my nostalgic house build, and I'm gonna stop recording now because I think I'm losing my voice. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was kind of cute if you were back, you know, at the time. I hope this kind of brings back all your old memories, but this is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. That is all for today's video. As per usual, all my channel members will be on screen now. Thank you so much for joining the channel, and my night boosters, thank you so much for boosting my Discord server, and my merch buyers from February's drop, thank you so much for buying the merch. Of course, I now have new merch out, so if you did buy that, let me know and I will update you onto this sheet. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all later. I love you all so much, glossettes. XOXO, Glossiel.